All right, guys, I'm really excited today because I get to announce a brand new partnership that I have with Titan Nutrition. They're one of the most trusted and respected supplement brands in the industry. You can find their products in supplement stores all across the country. They have a wide range of products from proteins to pre-workouts, vitamins, superfoods. All of their products are backed by the CGMP, which is the Greater Manufacturing Practices, and using FDA-monitored facilities with third-party testing. I've tried several of these products, and I can tell you right now, they are of the highest quality that I've ever had, specifically the protein. If you like a good whey protein powder, and you're trying to bulk up or you're just using it as a meal replacement, I'm telling you right now, guys, it is better than the big guys. We all know who they are. And it's better than going to your local GNC. I'm telling you right now, and it's more affordable. So head on over to titannutrition.net and check out some of their protein flavors like cinnamon roll, cherry bomb, berry, strawberry sorbet. I'm telling you guys, and here's another little perk to do so. If you use discount code WWE at checkout, you get 10% off your order and free shipping. So go over to titannutrition.net and use the discount code WWE. You can also click on the link that's in the show notes. Again, that is titannutrition.net and use code WWE. You will not be disappointed.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, guys, welcome to the WWE Podcast. It is January 30th, Monday, January 30th. We're going to get it to Anthony DeMarco and myself as we cover the current state of WWE. We've got a lot to talk about. Very passionate show regarding Cody Rhodes, main event, Sami Zayn, and I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to get some very strongly worded feedback about this show, given that a lot of it is, to be frank, not positive in Cody Rhodes' direction. Not him as a performer or as a wrestler or his skill set. It's the position he's in this year, given how hot Sami Zayn has been. So that's where I want you guys to think about it, because before you start typing away and cursing our names, because a lot of you love Cody, just look at it through the framework of Sami Zayn and how hot he's been, and that this is his year. That's essentially the root of our argument. But I will let you guys listen to the show in just a minute. Before we get there, I want to give a shout out to our latest patrons over at patreon.com. Many of you have joined us over the last week or so, given for the Rumble, and Thomas Franco, who joined me for a show just a few days ago. Thank you so much. We've got Wolf Manjo. I don't know your real name, but Wolf Manjo 714. Thank you for your support. Jamie Witherspoon, thank you so much. Chloe Mitchell, thank you for your support, and you guys are awesome. If you want to join Chloe, Jamie, Wolf Manjo, and Thomas, you can do that at patreon.com/WWE Podcast, and you can get yourself an ad-free experience for $1. Of course, the higher you go, the more benefits you get, including video. I put an extended video review out last night, just for a few minutes, putting out a little bit more of an in-depth thought about Cody Rhodes, and so that's exclusive for the SmackDown tier and higher. So consider joining there, and also at Apple Podcast. Apple Podcast is a great place that you can hit ad-free and go ad-free, and you can get yourself completely streamlined experience by clicking that ad-free button. You get 1 week for free, and then it's just $2.99 a month. So not a bad gig. Alrighty. Thank you, everybody, for listening here. We're going to dive right into Anthony DeMarco and myself as we cover the Sami Zayn story, the brilliance of the Sami Zayn story, and for us, the frustration of the Cody Rhodes Royal Rumble victory. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I'll be back tomorrow night with your Monday Night Raw review. Until then, take care. Okay, welcome to a post-Royal Rumble, officially in WrestleMania season, on the road to WrestleMania, current state of WWE. I've got Anthony DeMarco, as always, to discuss a little bit about the Rumble. We'll hone in on a particular topic, and if you followed us but listened to us before, you probably know where we're going with what we're going to talk about. And Anthony, welcome to the show, and here we are. We are officially on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a 2-3 months here. In about 2 months, I think. What's the date for WrestleMania? Is it the first weekend of April? April 2nd? I'm not sure, but obviously we're just outside 3 months. We have the Elimination Chamber pit stop along the way. But you know what? I think they still have a lot of options. And I have to say, I guess because of the Royal Rumble, we have a more or less a set destination for the men's side, and we'll certainly get into that. But I still have a feeling that if they maybe pull a couple of strings, they can maybe right this ship, because in my opinion, like you said, off the top, we're in the minority here, but I'm not a huge fan as to the direction they're barreling towards.
Well, let's just dive into that, and let's just say off the bat a couple of things before we get into this, guys. Number one, I have not, Anthony has, but I have not seen any part of Raw yet. I know Cody opened Raw. That's traditional with the Royal Rumble winner opening Raw, and I did not hear any comments with Cody. I did hear a little bit of the press conference, so I want to say that. Also, number two, guys, we understand that we are probably in the minority here. I know a lot of you love Cody, and you're supporting him, and you love the babyface run, all that. So just wanted to preface it by saying that, but the floor is yours, buddy.
Yeah, so I'll just echo what you said, that I understand that the vast majority of people love Cody Rhodes right now, and good on WWE for recognizing that and giving the majority what they want. But obviously we're going to talk about our personal opinions here. And I have to say, I knew this was coming, especially when the news came out that The Rock would not be involved. I think we all knew that Cody Rhodes was the odds-on favorite here. And, we got that predictable outcome. I don't hate it. There certainly could have been worse outcomes, like Brock last year. And, in the past having, Roman Reigns win or Batista win. It's certainly not the worst they've ever seen. I just feel that the overall booking of Cody Rhodes made him, at least from my perspective and my opinion, made him way less endearing. He comes in number 30, which is an automatic advantage. And one thing I'll say about Raw is somewhere along the way, he said that he outlasted 29 other men. That's not true for, 28 guys out of the 30 that enter, but it is especially not true when you come in 30 and you're the freshest and you just have that advantage right off the bat. I don't know why Triple H and WWE booked him like that, especially when he's supposed to be this heroic babyface coming back, this massive obstacle of an injury and all that. And then another part about it is that he comes down one-on-one with Gunther, who breaks a record for most time in the Royal Rumble. I think before that it was previously held by, I want to say it was Rey Mysterio in 06, but it could have been Benoit in 04, who both of them came in 2 and 1 respectively. But Gunther lasts the whole length of this, and I think it was really cool for Gunther. I think he was the one that gained the most from that Rumble. I think he put on a hell of a showing. Even Sheamus and Drew, I thought, were really, really impressive in that. But Gunther, I think, came out the best out of that entire Rumble. They pretty much have a full-on match between the two of them, which I haven't really seen since HBK and Undertaker since I think it was 2007, the Royal Rumble, when Undertaker won. But then Cody wins, and I get it. Everyone's happy. It's this big hip-hop hooray, good feeling moment. But I don't know. I felt that in that moment, with Gunther being in there for an hour plus, Rhodes coming in at 30, I just felt like I was pulling for Gunther, because inherently you're going to go for the guy who's the underdog. And after being in the ring for over an hour, I just think by osmosis, he's the underdog because he has so much less left in the gas tank. So look, I get it that everyone's happy with Cody Rhodes, but just because of how predictable it was and because of how much of advantage he had right out of the gate as coming into number 30, I had a tough time getting behind him, and add that to the fact that I've never been a massive Cody guy from the onset.
Oh boy. Yeah, this is, to me, I honestly don't know. Even if you're a Cody supporter, I don't know how you look at the way that WWE Triple H positioned this for Cody and say that was a perfect way to bring him back and have him win. I don't understand the argument for that. I mean, this is the number 30 spot is a privileged spot. It's not a respectable spot per se because you have the most advantage out of everyone else. You're dealing with men that have been in there for over an hour, and it's a referendum on Cody to get that close to being eliminated from a guy that was in there for over an hour, and you've been in there for just a few minutes and you nearly get eliminated. I mean, for him to struggle that much with a guy that's been in there for over an hour is not a great testament to him. And then also to have him win in the number 30 spot, it doesn't make any sense to me that they would put him in number 30. Number one, not number one. Firstly, 30 is a position that, I mean, it's usually reserved for some kind of big return. We saw that in the women's division. Number 30 is a special spot, but it's not reserved for a guy that we knew was coming back, a guy that we knew since June 5th at Hell in a Cell was going to win the Royal Rumble. There was talk about it all the way back at the beginning of the summer that, he'll be back in time for the Rumble and probably win it. I remember talking about that. Other people talked about it. So we've essentially been it's been a foregone conclusion for about 8 months that this dude is going to be coming back for the Rumble and win it. And okay, fine. You and I say all the time, predictability is not bad if it's the right thing. And time will tell if this is the right thing. I think WWE feels they were validated with their response to Cody. But let's be honest, this is not Cody Rhodes' year. This is Sami Zayn's year. And I mentioned this last night on my show. I said WWE needs to be careful. If they put Sami Zayn anywhere near Cody Rhodes when it comes to a championship match at WrestleMania, if WWE tries to gauge the fans on who they would want to be in the main event, they'll turn on Cody in a heartbeat, and they should, because Sami Zayn, it's his year. And I have the feeling that what they're going to do is have a championship match with him and Roman at Chamber, one-on-one. Roman Reigns will win, and then Cody will take him on at WrestleMania, and that'll be that. I really, truly believe that that's probably going to be the case, and with no Rock and seemingly no Austin right now, that is probably the scenario. So, I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I assume that's where they're going towards, because we're getting closer and closer to WrestleMania, which means that we're getting less and less time to split those championships. So I assume that he's going to be challenging Roman Reigns, and WWE, I believe less than an hour ago, released a poster or a publication for WrestleMania promoting Rhodes versus Reigns with the WrestleMania logo. So it feels like, 2 months out, we're already preparing for Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, which is fine. But to your point, it just, with everything going on, with the bloodline and Sami Zayn and the incredible babyface turn and subsequent beatdown of Sami Zayn at the Royal Rumble that closed the show, I just don't know how you're going to kind of pigeonhole Cody Rhodes into this. Like, you have this storyline that is going on 6 months now, building with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns and the bloodline, and then you see the Jey Uso reaction, and there's just so many wrinkles and so many layers to that onion that would have to be unraveled, that how are you going to do all that and get Cody Rhodes in there and build to a Rhodes Reigns Mania level main event while excluding Sami Zayn? And the other part about this is that obviously, you've said it, I've concurred, that I guess the low-hanging fruit would be Owens and Zayn versus the Usos for the tag team championships. But now, based on Jey Uso's reaction when they started the beatdown on Sami Zayn, I just don't know if that's going to make much sense either, because it feels like Jey Uso isn't going to be on the same side of the battle lines as Roman Reigns and the rest of the bloodline. So it's just based on how much of a slow burn this entire bloodline angle has been, and based on how much of good storytelling we've seen and good pacing and not rushing into things, I don't know how we're supposed to all wrap up this bloodline story within, I assume, by the Elimination Chamber. Because once Elimination Chamber comes and goes, you have to assume that you're going to have to start building towards Cody and Roman Reigns. So now Sami Zayn is going to have, another 3 weeks in the spotlight? I don't think he's going to win the Universal Championship. And then you're just going to put him on the back burner, and then what's he going to do? And even if he was to challenge the Usos for the tag titles alongside Kevin Owens, it just doesn't feel like it's enough given what he's done over the last half a year. So I think they're in a very precarious spot here. And again, we've said it countless times, but it feels like the simple solution here would be getting one of the championships off of Roman Reigns. But I just can't imagine that that's possible at this point because of how much time they're running out with.
I'm going to go with that assumption too. I know you and I have been kicking and screaming to have WWE split the belts. We've been talking about it, I mean, forever now. And I'm going to go with they're not doing it, even though that is the much smarter solution. And you still
it fixes everything.
Yeah, it fixes everything. You keep the streak intact. Roman Reigns' undefeated streak stays intact. You have two championships, one going to Raw. That's a major problem right now on Raw. It also creates two big main events and another opportunity for two guys to be a main event of WrestleMania. And you also could put Roman Reigns only in one match. Again, you don't want Roman Reigns in both. He just gets stripped. It was only 1 year, blah, 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 whatever. And they just won't do it. And I'm just going to go with that. I mean, there is a possibility towards the as we get closer, they do it, but let's go with the assumption they don't. And there's one match, fine. So that means, like you said, okay, Cody, but Sami Zayn right now. Sami Zayn is at a level that very few men and women in this industry get to. Where listen to the pop he got at the Royal Rumble, the loudest pop of the night. And yes, it has been building for months and months and months to that moment, and we all knew it was coming. But it was still so awesome to watch and so well played, and the emotions on everyone's faces, from Paul Heyman to Roman to Jay to Jimmy to even Solo, everyone played it just as well as you could imagine. This is one of the best wrestling storylines in modern history, and I know that some people are going, are you kidding? And I challenge anybody in the last 15 years to tell me a better storyline that has grasped and captured your emotions like this, or at least the emotions of most fans. This is a rarity, and for WWE to just relegate Sami Zayn at WrestleMania to a tag team title match, in any other year I'd say, hey, that's a success. This one feels like it has to be Sami Zayn somehow. It just has to be. I know we have Chamber. I know it's in his, in Montreal. Obviously, the connection there with Sami. I understand all that, but with how hot Sami Zayn is, I think people might turn on Cody when we get to the main event of WrestleMania. I'm a little concerned for Cody that if you're a Cody supporter, the fans are going to turn on Cody thinking to themselves, no, this is BS. Sami Zayn should be here right now. And maybe their thought is, let's turn it into a triple threat. I don't even want a triple threat. They've pigeonholed themselves, as you said, because now with the Royal Rumble winner getting that opportunity, you can't crap on that stipulation. You have to follow through. That guarantees Cody's in that main event with Roman. So the best that Sami Zayn could do is a triple threat with Cody Rhodes and Roman. Is there any other way out of this? I mean, if you put Sami in there, it can't be one-on-one. It's got to be with Cody.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I could kind of remember this being similar to, the only comparison is when Benoit won the Rumble in 2004 as a SmackDown guy, and he jumped over to Monday Night Raw, because essentially Cody Rhodes is going to be jumping over to SmackDown, right? Although Reigns technically floats between brands, but we know it's kind of more like a 80-20 type of split in terms of his appearances. So, I mean, Benoit jumps over and he shoves himself into the main event with HBK and Triple H. The only difference is here, well, there's obviously a lot of differences, but one of the major differences here is that HBK was already a main guy. We had already seen HBK as a multi-time world champion. He had already had several one-on-one cracks at Triple H for the world title. And now you're going to see Sami Zayn, who's never had a one-on-one match against Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Championship, and the build has been that much slower. There was already a payoff between HBK and Triple H at the Rumble in 2004. We haven't gotten that with Sami Zayn yet. So even at that, it wasn't apples to apples, because even going into that match, and I think you were there live, were you not, for WrestleMania 20?
Yes, sir.
So when you went into that match and with the crowd there, Did you feel that there was an overwhelming backing of Benoit or of HBK? Did you feel back then that there was anything odd about that match being a triple threat?
Well, I remember going in. I mean, typically championship matches at WrestleMania are one-on-one, and I prefer one-on-one at WrestleMania for championships rather than adding a third person. But I remember being there as I'm jogging my memory from, my God, how many years ago now? 04 to now, nearly 20 years. Holy crap. I remember feeling more for Benoit, and I felt like the crowd felt more for Benoit because, as you mentioned, there had been a long-standing program with Triple H and HBK who worked so well together. Their chemistry is unmatched. I mean, they had just classic after classic, so many great matches. Royal Rumble, Last Man Standing, Bad Blood, their 2 out of 3 falls, like so many great matches that they had. And at that point, we had kind of been like, all right, well, this is definitely a WrestleMania main event, but Benoit is a guy that was kind of in the Daniel Bryan role before Daniel Bryan was Daniel Bryan. I mean, we didn't even really understand that yet. So, yeah, I think people gravitated more organically towards Chris because he was the underdog and the fact that we had seen Triple H, HBK so many times. And I think there was more of an interest in seeing Benoit win that based on what I remember and feeling.
Yeah, and that was the difference because Benoit was almost like the Sami Zayn in this story. And not to say that Cody's is the HBK, obviously has never held the world title, so you can make him that underdog story as well. But even at that, Cody won number 30. Benoit won number 1. So it's not apples to apples. Benoit went in there as the overwhelming underdog. And in this case, I think it would be Sami Zayn. And I just think that in a lot of ways, people want to see Sami Zayn. Like, it's very reminiscent of Daniel Bryan in 2014, this build. Except that you could say Sami Zayn has more of a backing because he just turned babyface officially. He's probably kind of been unofficially babyface for 2 months now, but he just officially turned babyface. He finally stood up to Roman Reigns. And I can't imagine that within 2 months, and probably shorter than that, because you're going to have to move on to Cody as the full-time or main guy to step to Cody to Roman Reigns, even if you have a month to try and stretch this out and put a bow on the Sami Zayn stuff, I don't think that 1 month is enough. I don't think 4 episodes on SmackDown is enough a racetrack to wrap up the last 6-7 months of brilliant storytelling you've told on SmackDown. And then once again, what are you doing on Raw? What's going to be the main thing on Raw? Like, I know that they announced earlier this afternoon that the Elimination Chamber would be held for the United States Championship. And again, look, I'm happy that they're prioritizing the U.S. title. I'm happy they're prioritizing the IC title. But how much can you really prop the U.S. title up on a pedestal? Like, again, I don't hate that the Chamber is for it. It's fine. It's cool. It makes it more prominent. I'm all for that. But what, you're going to try and make the U.S. title main event the first night of WrestleMania? Like, it doesn't make sense how much they're gutting everything just to keep 2 belts on Roman Reigns. And even now, like, even if I'm not a fan of Cody Rhodes. You're not a fan of Cody Rhodes. But for you, Matt, would it be different if, let's say, Rollins was holding the WWE title on Raw, or Lashley was, or whoever, and you knew that he was going to occupy that main event and the SmackDown side with the Reigns would be liberated?
Yes. I mean, it's like we mentioned just a few minutes ago, splitting the belts solves so many issues. It's the most lopsided, easy slam dunk decision that I've ever seen. I don't know the downside. I don't even know one downside. I can't think of a single reason that's negative that would tell me that this shouldn't happen, that the belt on Roman both of them should stay on him, other than, okay, it looks better in a photo. We've seen a zillion photos of Roman Reigns holding up 2 belts. We've seen the pay-per-views end the same way for 3 years now. Like, we get it. So there's really no downside. And if it's for I'll take your word for it. I didn't see that the Chamber's for the U.S. title. Fine, cool. But here's the thing. They've done such great work of elevating the U.S. title, and especially Gunther elevating the IC title. They have resurrected them to a level that I didn't think they'd get to this quickly. And, props to especially Gunther. And, Lashley and Rollins and Austin Theory have done a great job with the U.S. title on top of video packages being put out there for the U.S. title, showing the legacy and who's held it and all that. That's great. That's a great way to do it. And I think that they've done an excellent job. But the problem comes when they're trying to sell us a bill of goods that we know is just not, or just it's BS, or that it's more of just a distraction for us to not remember the fact that there's no world title on Raw. And I think they've reached a ceiling here with the U.S. title, and it's a great ceiling to get to that we have, I think, reached maximum value for the U.S. title of what it means. It's in a chamber now. Top guys are going after it because there's no other belt to go for, but you're going to hit that ceiling and hit that wall, and I think they've done that almost to the point now where people are hopefully kicking and screaming and saying, okay, like enough is enough. Like, cool, great job with the U.S. belt, but this is not enough to distract me from the realization that a top belt should be on Raw, and so I think they're going to run out of steam when it comes to trying to just put smoke and mirrors in front of the fans and just say, all is good, all is good. See how much the U.S. title means? Yeah, well, it does, but that doesn't make me forget the fact that a top belt is not here and it should be.
Yeah, and I think that, in retrospect, hindsight being 2020, we talked about as well that Roman being a double champion wasn't the worst thing in the world. I think in a lot of ways it's going to help his legacy that he hold both world titles. But I just think that if I have to pinpoint the worst, I guess, spot on Triple H's resume since taking over creative, I think you had a brilliant opportunity at Clash at the Castle. And we heard the leaks about the original plans that Austin Theory was going to cash in and make it a triple threat match for one belt for the WWE title. And Roman or Drew could have hit Austin Theory with a Claymore and capitalized and pinned Austin Theory. And then therefore Roman Reigns wasn't pinned and that streak keeps on going. And then a lot of people would say, yeah, but he still would have a loss on his resume. Well, he already has that loss after the tag team match against Kevin Owens and John Cena on SmackDown. So that argument no longer applies. And I think if you would have taken the WWE title off of Roman Reigns then and there, you would have given him a 4 or 5 month long as a run as a double champion. Then you would have gotten that WWE championship back over to Monday Night Raw. And over the 4 or 5 months between WrestleMania and Clash at the Castle, you would have had time to prop up that US title. And I think Triple H did a brilliant job between there. Just in the first month that he took over, first month or two, I think he did an amazing job propping up that United States Championship. So I just think that was the biggest thing. And look, he's made other mistakes. I agree. Triple H, that is. But I think that's the only mega mistake because like you said, now we fast forward to 5 months down the line and it would have just solved everything. Even if you would have kept it on Drew to this point, like I think Cody Rhodes versus Drew, babyface versus babyface, that would have been a very good main event for Monday Night Raw. Or you could have had Seth win it at, who knows, the Royal Rumble or a Survivor Series, what have you, and you could have had Seth versus Cody Rhodes. Hell, you could have had a triple threat match. I think that would have been a cool triple threat match. So it's not, again, the fourth time of Cody versus Seth, even after Cody won the first three. I just think that you could have had your cake and eat it too. And I think that's the biggest frustration part about this is that it doesn't have to be this complicated. You could have made Roman feel like this over-the-top historic champion without just plunging on this far. And I understand why they're doing it. But I think at this point, the shrapnel that it's causing is really just outweighing the good that the double champion run has done for Roman Reigns.
There is, and we've said this, there's no payoff they could do at this point that would make me say, yeah, that was totally worth, robbing men of main events for WrestleMania for several years. That was totally worth it. All of that was so worth Roman Reigns holding both belts. There's nothing you could tell me. No payoff, no match. There's no outcome, no destination to me in any world that would to me make it worth the fact that they don't have a world title on Raw. That's how egregious this is. And it's screwing with other guys' careers. They're putting all of their eggs in one basket, and we know how good Roman is. We know what this legacy means. We know that he's on a historic run. We know he's going to get to 1,000 days. We know he's number 5 or number 6 on the all-time record for number of days consecutively as champion. I think Pedro Morales is next. So he is right there, and we understand what all this means. So I don't know how much value they think they're going to get out of keeping a title off Raw just to keep it on Roman. You could have, as you said, have your cake and eat it too. He continues his streak. He's still Universal Champion. Why does he need both belts? For a photo op that happens every pay-per-view? What, for just the fact that just to say he is the man on both brands, there's no equal to Roman? Like, we understand who and what Roman is. His streak began hundreds of days before he captured the WWE Championship, and it can continue hundreds of days after he splits that belt, but they don't do it. I would love to know the reason why, but I mean, we don't know because we're not in those meetings. That said, circling all the way back here to Sami Zayn, because this to me is the biggest part of our conversation is Sami Zayn, given everything that happened. The reaction was just off the charts. I mean, the roof blew off the place. I mean, I went back and listened to the pop. It was like a Stone Cold-esque pop. It was massive and good for them. Good on everybody. Good for the writers. Good for Sami. Good for everyone in the bloodline. And I just don't know what they do. I mean, my guess and my official guess is what I've said, and let me know what yours is too. Sami and Roman at one-on-one at Chamber, and then triple threat at best with Sami and Cody and Roman at WrestleMania, where Cody or maybe Roman pins Sami or Roman pins Cody. Therefore, Roman doesn't lose the belt. We continue on. And Sami doesn't take the pinfall. I don't know. Or maybe Sami's in there to take the pinfall and Cody doesn't take the fall so that you can protect Cody. That's my best guess. I mean, that's one, but I could see just Sami being completely left out of the WrestleMania main event as well.
Yeah. The thing is that I think that they view Cody's return and what he overcame and his dad and blah, like all that garbage that I find very nauseating to this point. And I think that if you watch the press conference, even Triple H, which I couldn't believe he said it, but he literally said, when I look in Cody's eyes, I see his dad. I'm just like, oh my
please.
God. It's so contrived at this point. Like, could we stop? Like, anyway, whatever. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but I feel like they think that Cody Rhodes' ascent here is bigger than what has happened with Sami Zayn since the summertime. And I think that that's very unfortunate. I don't want to say that Cody Rhodes' return and everything he's done over the last 10 months has been like fake, but I do feel like, are we only doing this because he was a big name, the first big name to flip from AEW to WWE? Like, I just don't know if he's as good as they're telling us he is. And I think that a lot of people are caught up in it. And the fact that he returned, he got hurt within the first 2-3 months, and now he returned again. So it's almost like we're seeing Cody Rhodes for the first time again since coming back to WWE from AEW. And that's okay. It's fine. Like I said, if he had won the Rumble and he was facing Drew or Seth or both or whoever for the WWE title, I wouldn't care. I would be fine with it. Don't care. Have at it. The reason what I have an issue with it for is because I don't like that it's going to supersede what's been going on with Sami Zayn. Like, I just don't think he has any business on SmackDown or involved with Roman Reigns. I don't see it. And I know that we've seen other things. Maybe they pull something out of their pull something out of the hat, just keep it PG, that, makes me say like, oh, good for them. They're actually making me care about this. But I just feel like they're going to book this WrestleMania. They're going to throw Sami Zayn in the rearview mirror after February passes us by. And then we're supposed to all of a sudden forget about what Sami Zayn has done, the best work of his career, the best story that we've seen in WWE for quite some time, probably since the Yes Movement. But even that was an accident. I feel like they got behind the Sami Zayn push earlier on. But for me, it's just like that's what I'm foreseeing here. That's what I think is going to happen based on everything they're telling us. And the fact that the Elimination Chamber is in Montreal, in Sami's hometown, in my hometown, I always like to slip that in. But I feel like that's where they're going to put a bow on this. And it's a shame. It's really a shame because the thing is like, what other important match is Sami going to have? You know, maybe 2-3 months ago, it would have felt important for him and KO to dethrone the Usos. That doesn't feel that important anymore. And then it's just like, and forget about Sami Zayn for a second. Like, what's Seth Rollins going to do? Seth Rollins, you know, has been talking about setting his sights on the world title since October. And now what? He's just taking a back seat, probably going to have a match against Logan Paul at WrestleMania. What's Drew McIntyre going to do? Be in a tag team match with Sheamus? Like, again, like, love or hate Drew, I think anyone could objectively say that he's above being in a tag team with Sheamus. It's just, I really don't understand why they think everything is worth sacrificing just in favor of keeping the undisputed championship on Roman Reigns. And then secondary, it feels like Cody Rhodes has jumped the line to everyone right behind Roman Reigns. Like, these are the two most important stories and wrestlers that we have, and everyone else be damned. That's the impression I'm getting, and it's a shame because under Triple H, I thought it would have been a bit different.
Yeah, you would think that Triple H, and again, we are judging this based on what we think could happen and what's the most likely. Triple H may swerve us. Somehow Cody may be out of the main event. Somehow, I don't know how they get there. I doubt that they will not put him in the main event, but this is an important distinction that you brought up with the Cody versus Sami Zayn dynamic. Cody jumped the line, as you said. He was put in the most advantageous position in the Royal Rumble, and he won the Royal Rumble. And he got the return pop that a lot of guys get, and he gets a good reaction. But here's the difference between Sami and Cody Rhodes. People have seen the story of Sami Zayn over several months or several years if you followed his career in NXT and, you know, all the things he's done for many, many years in WWE. And then, of course, the brilliance over the last 6 to 12 months. And people have followed that and been very heavily invested emotionally. With Cody Rhodes, like you said, it's just like, oh, okay, he was the first big name to jump from AEW back to WWE. That's interesting, but I still don't understand the massive support for him. Like, I don't understand. It's like he's the second coming of Christ. Every time that he, you know, some people view him that way when he comes out, I'm like, what? Why are we so excited about Cody Rhodes? Like, he's a good talent. I think he's really good in the ring. He's good on the mic. You know, like, fine. I just don't understand it. So my point is, though, that I think the reaction that Cody's getting is one of those reactions that every returning star gets that eventually fades away. That happened to CM Punk. It happened to The Rock when he returned. It happens to every single star, that massive pop at the beginning, and then it starts to fade, and the novelty wears off. And I think that when people view this as Cody Rhodes jumping the line for a year that should be Sami's, and when people finally come to the realization that, wait a minute, I don't feel as emotionally attached to Cody as I do for Sami. Why is Cody in the main event again? I think people will start to turn on Cody. I hope they do, and I think it'll be a massive message to WWE, because right now people are emotionally invested in Sami. People are just not emotionally invested in Cody. I think that they've seen his story. Okay, he's come back from injury. How many? Well, okay, hundreds of injuries happen every year to stars all over the industry, and the return is something that happens, and that's not an uncommon thing. And they're also trying to pull us in with his dad, and that whole my God, dude, you've been wrestling for how many? Over 10, 12, 15 years, and you're still leaning on daddy to get over? I mean, that's just, I'm sorry, it's sad. I don't need to hear about it. Like when Charlotte tries to distance herself from Rick, I'm like, good, you should, right? Like, stop leaning on your family and their legacy to continue yours. I'm sorry, it's as you said, nauseating. So they're trying to create that emotional connection for Cody. I'm not buying it. You're not buying it. I think the minority of people aren't buying it. But when it comes to Sami, my point is, it's just organically, he's a lovable guy. We've followed the story, whereas Cody's this more superficial return. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and Sami Zayn is a guy who has a long history in WWE. And, when he first came up to the main roster, what was it? The underdog from the underground. And, he spends a lot of time on Monday Night Raw as the, early on in the brand split where he's taking beatings left and right from Braun Strowman. And then he goes over to SmackDown. He turns heel. He becomes the Great Liberator and then the conspiracy theorist. And he goes through that massive stretch where he's like the best comedic act on television, pairs himself with Shinsuke, has a couple runs as the Intercontinental Champion. And then slowly he gets over organically as a heel, completely as a heel. And then he turns out to be the missing link into keeping the bloodline fresh. And in the turn of in a split second, he joins the bloodline, and you and I are talking about from the bloodline being stale to all of a sudden the bloodline super interesting again. And you see the slowly dissolution of the bloodline and the cracks and the Jey Uso aspect of it and Solo Sikoa and the trial and the wise man never being a fan of Shlomo or whatever he called him. It's just brilliant storytelling that would make all the sense in the world to culminate at WrestleMania. But now you're sticking this guy who has no business in there, has not even crossed paths with Roman Reigns since returning to the company. And for me, it just makes no sense. And like I said, they still have time to make it all make sense. They still have time to split the belts, although I really, really don't understand. But anyway, I'm really sorry. I don't mean to go on a tirade here, but it's kind of upsetting because post Royal Rumble, you don't want to feel just kind of upset and frustrated with where this is going. But hey, I guess that's where it was all supposed to go, given how predictable the outcome was.
Yeah, it's super predictable. But the last thing I'll say on this, and then we can wrap it up, is that this has a big benefit, not just for Sami Zayn and what he's done and everyone in the bloodline that has been elevated by Sami Zayn's performance, is Roman Reigns is now truly back to being a heel too. Like Roman Reigns was starting to turn a little bit babyface. Like he was getting cheers when he came out and people were saying, acknowledge me and, all of that. And it started to turn the bloodline and even Roman Reigns babyface of how good Sami was. And now this has firmly shifted Roman all the way back to the other side. And we are going to get to see Roman's true colors as a heel again and see how good he can be. I think this is going to be a great thing for Roman. Eventually, of course, he'll turn babyface, and I think the fans will be with him this time. Unlike the last time with the awful iteration of the big dog, this will be a much more successful turn whenever it happens. But this is great for Roman right now because there's nobody supporting Roman Reigns when it comes to Sami Zayn in Roman Reigns. I actually don't know if people would support Sami Zayn, or rather Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns. We'll have to see, but I just don't understand. All of a sudden he's back and then he gets put in the main event and people like, I don't know how we're all just so blind to accepting this. Like, why? Cody Rhodes wasn't a main eventer when he was here. He was in AEW, different promotion, and all of a sudden he's here and everyone just accepts that he's the main event of WrestleMania. No, like I'm not accepting. But he
wasn't even a main eventer in AEW either. He was like the mid-card champion, and then people rejected. Anyway, I agree. It's like very frustrating.
It's just because he's a return. Like, and okay, is it the blonde in his hair? Like, what is it? Does he wear suits you like? What is it? I don't understand it. And I know people are going to say you guys spent 30 minutes, crapping on Cody Rhodes. You know what? Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. And we're telling you why we think ultimately that this is a bad decision. And we're telling you why I believe that fans it'll take a while, but I think fans will come around to starting to boo Cody Rhodes. And Cody's going to be like, I don't get it. Why? I'm so likable. And my dad, how can you boo me? My dad died. You know what? Just because your dad died doesn't automatically make you somebody that we're supposed to like. Sorry. But whatever. We'll see all this nauseating crap coming up and leaning on Dusty, and we'll see. I'm sure he's like visiting his dad's grave or like, all this. Come on, dude. Get ready for a whole bunch of that for the next couple of months. But I digress, and I will get off my soapbox.
Yeah, I guess we can only crap all over Cody Rhodes, who won the Royal Rumble 48 hours ago for so long. But like I said, I know that most people were happy with this, and good for you. It's just that I think it's almost a slam dunk. We're going to get Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber in Montreal. And I guess the only thing that I could think of here, which I really don't see it as possible, but do you think there's any way Sami Zayn beats him in Montreal and then it's Sami versus Cody?
Ooh, I think it's not impossible. I mean, I'd give it at a like a 5% chance, just because I wouldn't say it's impossible, just because it's in his hometown. The crowd is going to be like, it's going to be like when Roman Reigns comes into Montreal, it's going to be like John Cena walking into the Hammerstein Ballroom at One Night Stand in 2004. I mean, it's going to be a showering of booze, and it's possible. Not likely at all, but because WWE, when they look at it and go, wait a minute, Roman Reigns is in the main event? How is that? We got to make the biggest thing, we got to have the biggest names possible. How can it be Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn? You can hear the criticism of it. So very unlikely, but slightly possible.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see it. As much as it's more than a B pay-per-view, because it's in Montreal, Sami Zayn's hometown, so it's going to feel probably like WrestleMania tenfold. But even with that being said, it just feels like they're going to have Roman Reigns beat Sami Zayn and just try and get even more heat on him. And then even at that, it feels like Sami Zayn is going to end up being just another stepping stone to Roman Reigns and put onto a platter for Cody Rhodes to come in here and be the hero. And I mean, for me, I think that's the frustrating part. It's not even Cody Rhodes in a vacuum. He's fine. He's not my favorite, but I could see him as a main eventer. He's not my cup of tea, but whatever. I can still get it. It's more the fact that he's going to be the conclusion to this. He's going to be the one to take precedent over Sami Zayn. He's going to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns after umpteen many days as champion. It feels like such a letdown, and I know a lot of people, I don't want to say people are blinded by him just returning, but like you said, we just mapped it out. He wasn't a main eventer in WWE. He wasn't a main eventer in AEW. He's never held the world title, and he's had 3 matches or whatever since returning to WWE, and it just feels like beside his return, what the bleep is so special about this? Again,
it's his dad. What are you talking about? Dusty.
His dad. I don't. I get it in the sense of him being a main eventer. I get all that. You want him to win the Royal Rumble? Fine. I don't care. There's been a half a dozen worse guys that I could say off the top of my head, like Alberto Del Rio, for God's sakes, won the Royal Rumble. I'm okay with that. But it's just, and I guess in a big roundabout way to tie it all up, this would all have been avoided if you had split the damn titles. If he was facing Seth for the WWE title, or Drew, or Sheamus, or whoever, I don't think we would care. I don't think we would bat an eye. We'd probably be like, he's not my favorite in the world, but I see it. It's just the fact of the entire macro view of the situation going on.
Man, yeah, this is you and I are just so frustrated because the solution's right in front of your face. I mean, the solution's right there. And I actually, if the world titles were split like they should be, I don't think you and I would be. I mean, we might mention it, and we might, have a conversation here and there about it, but it wouldn't be like a weekly frustration point for us that, WWE is not going to split the belts when you could and have 2 main events and have Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins or Cody Rhodes versus whoever. And then on the other side, you have Sami versus Roman Reigns, and you tell that story there, period. End of subject. And that's it. It's so easy. It's right there. It's not like we have to sit and think about it and go convoluted. It's not. And I think the biggest problem we have too, beyond the world titles not being split, is that this is Sami Zayn's year. And if Sami Zayn didn't exist and he was just doing whatever he was normally doing for the last 6, 7, 8 years, we probably wouldn't be so heated about this being Cody Rhodes being in the position he's at. Because as you said, if you just take Cody Rhodes by himself, yeah, great, really good wrestler, good on the mic. As I mentioned, I'm complimentary to him on his own. It's the position he's in that I'm resentful of, and the reasons they're telling me why he's in this position and he should be in this position I don't agree with. That's my problem. And Sami Zayn. If Sami Zayn didn't exist, I would probably still not like Cody in this position. I would still prefer Seth, but at least I wouldn't be so just befuddled as to why Cody is here and not Sami, a story that's been told for the last year, right? So there.
Yeah. Jeez. I guess there's only so much bearing of Cody Rhodes we could do on one show.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the feedback for this one. Oh, yeah. No, because there's so many people out there that are just wait till the voicemails, guys. I'm sure you want to respond to this. Emails and voicemails for the mailbag on Wednesday, I'm sure we'll be heated, and will be many rebuttals to our conversation, but that's fine. It's fun. We expect it. I know that many of you love Cody, and you can tell us the reasons why we're wrong. So yeah, it's not going to change my mind. We're not going to change yours, but that's the fun of it. So all right. Well, before you go, let everybody know the upcoming show. Do you have an upcoming retro idea that's going to drop for Friday?
I haven't really thought about it yet. Maybe going to do something in the spirit of the Elimination Chamber. Maybe go back and cover one of those pay-per-views or cover a specific chamber. But I haven't landed on one thing all just yet.
All right, so we'll keep a mystery on that, and tune in Friday for the retro show. And, of course, you can follow Anthony on Twitter at @DeMarco25, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, you and I go take a breath. I'm all riled up now, and I will talk to you next week.
Sounds good, buddy. Talk then.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.